Welcome to Textural Anthologies, the podcast series that explores the personal and professional side of creative individuals. My name is Massimo Casagrande, and in this first series, I will be focusing on the slash culture. Today's creative boundaries are blurred more than ever, and with this series, we will explore how the creative industry and creative people are influenced and inspired by other disciplines. Over the next few episodes, I will be having informal conversations with friends, colleagues, and fellow slashers to discover more about their stories, their journey, what makes them tick, and above all, their creative outlets. Enjoy the episode. Today we're going back to the Rainbow Nation, South Africa, and I'm really happy to speak with our guest, who is a key player in helping to shape the future of South African fashion. Trained at the London College of Fashion, then becoming senior designer for Frank Usher, to successfully running his own couture business for over 25 years in South Africa. He has reached the top of his game, designing for South Africa's elite and winning many prestigious international and local awards. In 2011, his success and expertise in the line of haute couture saw him being invited to hold a lecture on the topic of couture in Africa at Parsons, the new school for design. In 2004, he founded his design school to educate, train, and guide young visionaries to grow into fashion industry leaders, and it has been growing in strength since then, becoming the top fashion school in all of South Africa. Today we speak to him about his path, how he started the school, the future of fashion education, and the ever-growing talent in South Africa. I'm really happy to welcome today's guest, Spero Villioti. Hi, Spero.
Hi, Massimo.
Nice to see you again, even though virtually.
Yeah, lovely to see you. And thank you for the great opportunity.
You and I sort of had the same trajectory in the sense that we grew up in South Africa, but when it came to education, we actually had to leave South Africa to study fashion, which was quite sad, but I guess it made us who we are today.
Definitely.
The scene's now changed. I mean, you went to London, you were saying you went to college, London College of Fashion, then you worked there. Do you want to tell us a bit of your path?
I wanted to move from London. I wasn't going to come back to South Africa. I was applying for jobs in New York. But then we had a family tragedy and I had to come back. And that's why I came back to South Africa. I haven't regretted it because I love South Africa. I love the weather. So the outdoor life really suits me. So I was quite happy and I've met my wife here and we've had a good life. But when I started my couture business, I used to get students from other colleges around in South Africa for 3 weeks. And when they used to be with me for 3 weeks, they would say to me, I haven't learned what I've learned with you in 3 years. And Vanessa, my wife, kept saying, you should start a school. You should start a school. And then I had this client who I was doing her wedding dress, and she says, I want to be trained by you. And you have to say yes to me. She was very insistent on it. And she was an Indian lady, lovely girl. And so then I said, okay. And we put an advert in a magazine and we got 2 other students. And that's how we started with 3. Now we've gone to 300. So it's really good. But why I started it was because the fashion education in Africa was mediocre. And that's why we went to New York, we went to Parsons, we went to FIT, we went everywhere and to London College of Fashion, St. Martin's, to make our course comparable to theirs. So if you cannot travel out of South Africa, you are on the same level as a student at your institution, Marangoni, at a student, London College of Fashion. It's all on the same level. So we keep doing research and benchmarking ourselves on all the different international schools so that we can give South African kids, I shouldn't say kids, youngsters, the same equal opportunity. And the ones that have left South Africa, and we've got students working in New York, we've got students working in Italy. I mean, your niece who studied at our school, she's launching a fashion brand in Italy at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're so proud of her. So it's a huge thing. And she is an external moderator for us at the school as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd love you to be an external moderator as well.
Invite me. I never say no.
We'll take you up on that.
No, I'd love to. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm all about giving back. I'm exactly like you. You know, I believe there's so much potential, so much talent. And I always love when I'm somewhere in the world and I bump into a South African, because it's like, yes, we made it. We like, you know, we popping up. I think we are becoming these key players, and it's so important. Like, for example, for me, Makosa Africa can be the Missoni of South Africa, because of, you know, he's doing knitwear, taking all those Kosa patterns. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. I actually interviewed Lucilla Boyson last week.
Oh, great. Well, she does really good stuff for young South African fashion and students, and also established brands. So great person to talk to. She's been working very hard for very long at it.
Does the government support the arts in South Africa?
No, none at all. So there's nothing. So if there's a young kid who's amazingly gifted and wants to study fashion and their family can't afford it, there's no way.
Wow.
Every year our students raise money for their show. And this year they haven't been able to. They're allowed to use 50% of the money that they raise. It goes to the Fashion Education Foundation.
Oh, nice.
Which they're allowed to spend 50% of the money that they raise, and the other 50% goes for bursaries for disadvantaged students, because I see such amazing talent in South Africa. And yes, we give scholarships and we do help Vanessa and I as much as we can, but I can't do everybody. So the money that they raise will go towards a student who really is gifted but would never be able to come to our institution. And so teachers, also the students who have the privilege to come to our school, to give that opportunity to somebody else.
Oh, cool.
We've also started this vlog where we showcase the school. We've done 10 episodes so far. We started it because when we went back to the school, morale with the lecturers was quite low from lockdown. And I wanted to add some excitement and some energy, and we started this vlog. We've put together so far 10 episodes out there. Our following isn't that big. It takes time till it grows. But it really has brought fun and excitement, and we try to put out there what it's like daily life at the school, going through COVID and things going on and being different. Also showcasing students, showcasing lecturers, and the whole vibe of the school. And it's really made it a lot of fun and took away that heaviness from lockdown. So it's really been good.
And I like that, you know, you're giving an insight into the daily life of the students. I think it's nice.
So also with the blog, once we get to 1,000, we can become monetized by YouTube, and then we can start like a fund me page for the foundation that then gives money to any student who wants to study anything within the arts, because there's nothing here for those kind of students, for those kind of people. And the amazing raw talent that I see in Africa needs to be supported and to be shown.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's quite close to my heart because I was a bursary student. My mother was a widow, and the Greek community in Zimbabwe got together and sponsored me and raised, well, I had to do a whole fashion show, and we sold out everything. And all the money that was raised was to pay for my school fees at London College of Fashion, which I would have never had the opportunity to do that or to go there if it wasn't for what happened. So it's quite, I have an affinity to that and to help talented people achieve their dreams. It's important to me.
No, that's very important. And I think, you know, you use the word community, and I think now after lockdown and the pandemic, I think that word has become so important. I think we've actually seen, I think as humans, there was lots of empathy. We actually supported each other and started working together, which I think was such a positive aspect of even the fashion world. I think it was really great.
Yeah.
And we need more community. And also the fact that we can't travel. Also from a creative point of view, as a designer, looking at local manufacturers, looking at local textiles, instead of having stuff produced abroad, I think it's the perfect opportunity to actually promote locally, promote nationally. And I lived in South Africa 20 years. I completely agree with you. There's so much raw talent there.
So much.
That unfortunately is shadowed by the international scene.
Everybody thinks in South Africa that everything out of South Africa is better. And most of the big stores import everything from everywhere and don't look at South African creatives. And really, with our rainbow nation, which is so diverse and mixed, just the African cultures are so different.
Yeah.
There's Indian, there's Italian, there's Jewish, there's Greek, there's whatever you want is here, and it's all working together, and it's producing a very different aesthetic to what the rest of the world is seeing, which I think is great.
But that's what makes it unique, and I think it's fantastic. And
yeah,
for example, we've got Tebe Magugu, Sindizo Kumalu, Makosa Africa. Like Makosa showed in New York, Sindizo showed in Milan, Tebe showed in Paris. It's nice that South Africans are sort of making a name for themselves across the world.
Yes, we need to, because we're like the forgotten ones down at the bottom of the world.
I know. I mean, Tebe and Sindizo won the LVMH prize. I mean, that's huge for South Africans.
That is huge.
Tebe was the first African ever to win. So I think that's amazing advertisement for the country, for the fashion industry of South Africa.
For the fashion industry, and also for young people who want to study fashion.
Yeah.
It's to show them it doesn't matter where you come from. If you're good and if you work hard, you can get there. And it's not just for your little life, say, in South Africa. You can go global. Why not?
Exactly. They're good role models for students. Like how have your students been reacting to seeing local South Africans actually becoming these international players?
Well, it inspires them, definitely. They're very proud. They love it. They see that there is a future for them, because a lot of them, as soon as they tell their parents, I want to study fashion, I mean, whichever parent sees their baby, then they'll hold them and they say, oh, you're going to become a doctor, lawyer, accountant. And then baby chirps back, I want to do fashion. These parents have a heart failure.
I think we were lucky because our parents supported our creative side, I have to say.
Yeah, that's my mother had given up. She says, you know what, this boy must do whatever he wants to do. I give up. That's the best way. But a lot of them are very asphyxiated on their kids being doctors, accountants, and lawyers. And in saying that, we run evening classes, short courses on pattern making and sewing and design. The amount of women and men that we get who are in their 30s and 40s, who are accountants, doctors, and lawyers, and I ask them, why are you doing this? And they say, because with the change, we had to study something academic, and we were forced into what we do today, but we don't enjoy it. This for us is what we wanted to do, and is a stress relief, maybe a career change. And I'm quite floored with that. I think, wow.
But that's good. And I think, I don't know, did you notice during the lockdown that there was an increase in people wanting to take practical courses in pattern cutting?
Yes. We've been inundated actually with applications, and it's really taken off. I think with globalization, and you go to every city and there's the same stores and then there's Zara everywhere. It's just, everything is the same. I think people are wanting to make their own things, to be more unique, are now looking for something a bit different. It doesn't have to be super expensive designer brands, but I want to go and see different stuff. I want to go from shop to shop or website to website and see different stuff.
And also be able to personalize maybe what they've got already, make it unique.
Yes.
To be able to stand out and stick out. It's so important.
To stand out. It's become a bit like a uniform wherever you go.
Absolutely. So you do courses for mature students as well?
Yes. Well, our oldest student is actually a 76-year-old lady.
Wow.
She's amazing. And she was a war veteran, so she went through the whole reconciliation process with Desmond Tutu that he did, and she's quite famous now in South Africa because she went through quite a lot and survived. And she came to us and said, I always loved fashion and I wanted to do it. I've retired now and I'm doing this. And she loves it. I said, but there's 18-year-olds here, 18 to 20. Are you okay sitting with them? She loves them, and they all call her Gogo, which is granny. And her work, her dedication, she's always there. It's lovely. So we don't have an age issue with anybody. You can come whatever age you want.
I love that. 76, and she's like going back to school.
76. And at the end of the year show, we get all our first year students they make all this funky stuff. And she was with them walking down the catwalk. They love her, and the kids love it.
That's like a perfect example for young kids to say, like, you're never too old to follow your dreams or your passion.
Yeah.
Why do you have to stop doing something because of age or,
Yeah.
I think nowadays, there's no more limitations to these things.
Not at all. Not at all.
That's so cool. And then you were talking about helping, the students raising money. Sindizo Kumalu as well. She works with the NGO. And the people who are creating her stuff for ex-sex slave workers, who are being taught a different skill. So helping them get off the road and to be able to to get a better life. And I love the sense of community and helping each other, which I think is very unique to South Africa. People always think of us as a bad country. There's always this negative connotation, but there's so much positive that's happening in the country.
You know what? There's so many people running down South Africa and they're leaving because it's terrible, because this and that. I will never leave. I think it's an amazing country to live in. I think there is such potential. It's also a place where you, as a youngster, could start your own brand quite cheaply and grow it, have everything manufactured here and exported to the world. Our rand is low, so it's really cheap for manufacturing. And you know what? There's just so much potential and there is so much talent. What they do need is good education, good fashion education to be competitive. So that's the key, quality. If you can offer quality and craftsmanship, and we've got everything else.
Absolutely. With the lockdown, did it start in March with you guys?
Lockdown started on the 26th of March. We wanted to put our school online before that because we get a lot of students who live in rural areas who want to come and study with us, but then it becomes too expensive because they need accommodation, they need transport. But if it was online, they could still study with us. So that's where we were going. And then with lockdown, we decided 2 weeks before we're going online with all our students. We sent them all home and said we're going online 2 weeks before. And it was the biggest learning curve ever. Our students have done really well, the ones that have applied themselves. Obviously, with a group of students, sometimes they can be the most talented, but the biggest dreamers, and they never get anything done. And that's just how it is. As much as you push them, they just won't do it. But the ones who did, their marks have been exceptional. So now we're back from lockdown, and we're doing theoretical subjects still online and all practical within the institution so that we can spread them out more for social distancing. We're very vigilant about masks and sanitizers and everything. You can't go to a sewing machine unless it's been sanitized. You can't pick up the iron unless it's been sanitized. So it's crazy, but it's really kept us safe. We've had no issues. The best thing about this lockdown is that the students are just loving being back at the institution.
That's great.
They appreciate their teachers. They appreciate the facilities. They appreciate one another. There is such a lovely atmosphere, which is really magical. It's quite special to see. And we show them on our video. We show them and now we ask them, are you glad to be back? Oh, yes, we love it. I've missed my friends. It's so boring at home. And then before it was like, you've got college. Yeah, but I'm thinking of bunking. No, nothing. The funny thing is, I took a masterclass in history just before lockdown with our students. I was talking to them about the Spanish flu and how it affected the whole world and how many people died, and they were all like in total disbelief. How can that happen? And now when I see them, I've gone back to them and I said, remember when we had that class and we talked about the Spanish flu and how many people died? It was like COVID and the whole world was on shutdown again. It's happened now. You're living history. It's made them suddenly see that you're not entitled on this planet to anything. Life is fragile and it can change from minute to minute. Enjoy it and give of your best. And that's what I'm seeing from them. It's amazing. There's so many good things that have come from this bad thing. It's amazing.
No, absolutely. Completely agree. For me, it's more an opportunity than a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think another positive aspect of COVID, if we have to look at it, the glass is half full, is the fact that it accelerated what we already wanted to do. Like you were saying, you had already planned to go online. The fashion industry was planning on doing certain things, but COVID accelerated and maybe brought to the forefront certain issues that maybe we were too slow or, we didn't want to face.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. But I love that the students have this enthusiastic attitude towards it. They took it great. I think that's really good. I think the challenge is when you're doing something practical, like pattern cutting or draping, kind of get lost in translation. But same with our side, the enthusiasm has always been there. So that's really great. Speaking of everything's moved onto a digital platform, fashion weeks. And from a creative point of view, I love seeing the content that brands are making. They're really pushing boundaries. Are your students being inspired in maybe thinking about presenting their collection in a different way instead of a catwalk? Are they thinking more about going into film?
Yeah, with this vlog that we're doing, it's also, taken us into film. And we will be filming their collection. So each graduate is allowed to select a location that they want. And we will do like a special little video showing their collection. So each one is now becoming far more creative about their collection and how they present it. So it's really taken it to another level instead of a fashion show. Then we've also said to them, because they all want the fashion show, because their big drama was, my parents are not going to be able to watch the show and give me flowers and I can't walk down the catwalk. So what we've said to them, we'll do the videos, we'll build the vlog so that we get a lot more subscribers and followers and you become more worldly, more people are going to see your stuff. But you will also get invited to next year's show. If it is on a catwalk, you will have automatic entrance to that as well. So we're planning a massive show next year. I think it's going to run for 3 hours. So many people. But they're happy with, there we go, they're happy with that. So I said, actually for you, it's worked out more beneficial because you're going to get the video, which will be online for the rest of your lives. Anybody can watch it and you'll have it for your portfolio. Plus, you'll get the video that is the actual show when we do it. So they're quite happy. And they suddenly got into it about making their movies and they want this and they want that. And it's like, yeah, you still need money for that, so you better go fundraise.
How do they fundraise? Because you were saying that they fundraise to create their collection. So is this something that's part of the curriculum or is it something extra that they do?
It's in the curriculum. They do events and they have to plan or host an event. So they've done club night, they do cake sales, they do fun runs, they do.
But they do it individually. It's not that they all team up to create one event. They each sort of do it to fund their own collection.
They do one individually.
Okay.
And they get marked on it because they have to run it as a business.
Okay.
So they have to see how much what they're getting for free, what they're getting sponsored. And it will teach them that one day, if you want to launch your own collection and you have no money, is how do I think creatively on doing this and run it as a business so that it does cover my costs.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it is part of their thing. Golf day, what else? The blanket drive that they do, blanket drive. So usually every year they raise between 300,000, sometimes 400,000. So then if they raise, say, 400,000, they're allowed to spend 200,000 on their show. So they raise quite a lot. So they usually every year we manage to put 2 students through on the bursary. And it's not just the 1 year. So every year we take 2 new ones, but we still have to get second years through, the 2 second years and the 2 third years. So we have about 6, or sometimes we've had 8 all running through on bursaries. So it's for the full 3 years of the course.
That's great. But I like this sort of business side that's included in there. They have to understand exactly how expensive it is to create a collection. And better than I do that, you're always dictated by Mr. Budget when you're designing. So how do you...
Always a budget. You can never do whatever you want.
I know. How do you manage to juggle your brand with the school? I know your studio is actually in the school, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, it is in the school. We have changed now. We've made it much bigger. We've taken the whole floor.
Okay.
It's all moved around, but my workroom is still there. So I don't really lecture. I just do master classes. So I can work with my brand, and the students are always welcome to come in and look, and that's what they love. They love to come and see how it all works. I'm also very fast when I'm working with my stuff, so I get it done and I'm out of there, but I'm always walking around and checking. It seems to work.
Good. No, that's good.
It works.
But it's nice for them to be able to see you working and creating. I think that inspires them a lot as well.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask, everybody's talking about sustainability, seasonless, slow fashion. Is this something that the students are taking into account when they're designing as well?
Very much so. They're very self-conscious about that, about the planet, sustainability, repurposing, whatever they can do. I mean, we've got one of our bursary students, Mama Bisi, has done a whole collection on repurposing denim clothing.
Oh, wow.
Because he's a bursary, he doesn't have the finances to go and buy beautiful fabrics and all of that. So we put out into the school that whoever has old denim jeans, jackets, dresses, whatever you have in denim that you don't want, to donate it to the school, where then we gave it to Momo Bisi. And he's cut it all up, changed it completely, and created his whole collection, which is amazing because it's actually cost him nothing.
Wow.
And that's what I like more than anything.
Yeah. It's so funny because Levi's has done something like that now during the pandemic. They're asking people to send in all the old Levi's denims, jackets that they're not using, and they're kind of fixing them up a bit and selling them again. So that's really great. I like that he did it before Levi's.
He did. He started at the beginning of it.
I like it, go South Africa. I love that.
We want to see what the students do in Miami as well, because our students think everybody over there is much better than them. They have this chip on their shoulder. And I tell them students are the same everywhere. You're the same.
The grass is always greener on the other side. I've had the opportunity of living in 4 different cities. And you know what? There's so much talent in each one. And each one is unique.
Yeah.
And I think that is, otherwise you're just a clone. You're just copying somebody else. And our industry, you have to stand out. You have to have your own personality. And so
I know, that's what I'm saying. You're different. It's different.
They can look, but they mustn't think others are better than them, because that doesn't exist. Last question. What do you think is the future of South African fashion?
I think the future of South African fashion is very bright. I think people want things that are different, want things that are unique. There's a lot of innocence in South Africa. They are not influenced by maybe what designers in Europe are exposed to, museums and all of that sort of stuff. So there's no influence of that. So what they're influenced by is more nature and cultural, and it's quite different. So In Europe, you have everything at your feet. Here, you need to go and look for it or be creative enough to see it, something that would inspire you. Where in Europe, I suppose you can walk into the Louvre and just walk around, or you could go to the V&A in London. I mean, there's so much there that would inspire you. But here, there's not much of that. But the lack of it, I think the less you have, the more creative you become. It's like Momo Bisi. He had nothing to create his collection. He had to use recycled jeans. And he has been more creative. And I could have given him 30 meters of denim. I was happy to do that. But then I wouldn't have had what he has produced now. It's made him much more creative. So so I think there's such a beautiful country. There's so much natural beauty, cultural beauty, diversity. It's awesome. So there's lots that, and of course we teach them where to look for inspiration as well.
No, I completely agree with you, and I look forward coming back. Unfortunately, this year, there's been a big disruption in all our lives. So
all our lives, but you have to come back. We would love you to come and visit us and spend more time with us.
Whenever you want. Spero, thank you so much for your time. And say hi to Vanessa in the background.
I will do in the background.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To find out more about the Villioti Fashion Institute, please check out their vlog, Growing Fashion Villioti Unpicked, where you can follow Spero around as he personally shows you through the campus, giving you a little bit more of a look into their world and introduces you to a few of their talented students. Go ahead, immerse yourself in the creative and rewarding life at Villioti Fashion Institute. You can find the link to these vlogs in the show notes. Enjoy and stay safe.